got our panel. The stage is set. And the discussion is going to be, is DOOH ticking all the boxes for brands? Our panel today comprises some of the most experienced professionals in the industry, and we're going to first welcome on the stage our moderator who's already walked on the stage a couple of times. Please welcome founder Ideacafe.agency, Mr. Nabendu Bhattacharyya. Also joining us on stage, among the top talents in the Indian petroleum segment. He has over 22 years of experience working with Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited, and joins us today on stage, Business Head, Commercial and Industrial, BPCL, Mr. Rahul Tandon. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This has over 2 decades of experience in multiple industries such as durables and FMCG. He's keenly focused on customer experience and brand-led organizational impact creation. We welcome on the stage Chief Growth and Marketing Officer, Swiggy. Please welcome Ashwath Swaminathan. Welcome. Our next panelist, with an impressive career of over 22 years, is a specialist in digital transformation and marketing, and is deeply involved in data-led digital marketing to drive end-to-end business. Ladies and gentlemen, Senior VP and Head Brand Marketing Communications, HDFC Bank, please welcome Ashish Morone. Welcome. And last but not least, we welcome someone who comes with 16 years of diverse experience in media. These include on-ground research, media planning and buying, strategic analysis, and most importantly, efficient implementation of these strategies and campaigns. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Pramod Patil, Vice President and Head of Media, Kotak Mahindra Group. Welcome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the stage is set. Our panelists are here. Our moderator is taking over.
Hello. So, good afternoon, Bangalore. Please cheer up. I, started my career when it used to be wall painted. It used to be painted billboard, and from there on, I had seen flex. And then now we are talking about digital out of home and anamorphic content and stuff, okay? It's gone quite crazy. Some of the figures, India has seen from last year to this year, India last year had some 70,000 screens. And when we take it includes everything, means all touch points. And when we take the numbers, just in 12 months, it's moved to 2 lakh screens. So easily you can imagine what is the situation. Now let me give you the next number. So obviously India digital out of home number is not that prominent, which is some 10%. But if you look at US market, so US is 40% revenue contribution comes from the DOH display. And if you take China as an example, China is about 78% to 90%. It has different views. So, and 50% of the digital out of home contribution comes from the Asia Pacific market. India being the second largest population country, and the consumption pattern, if you look at Facebook and Google every day, are in our doorstep. So it is quite obvious that digital is growing. Now, let me start my question from the panelists, because here we have the brand owners who are responsible for giving their budgets, and that is what actually we intend looking at. So I would request Ashwath from you. In your media mix, how do you look at digital out of home as a media in your role, what role it plays?
Yeah, hi. So thank you for having me here. I think just like Ashish said some time ago, it's not a question of any one particular medium, right? I think the way to assess the role of any media is its reach, its cost, and the impact that it can deliver for you, depending on the creative that you run. So for me, that's the role that I would assess any medium. And coming to digital out of home specifically, I think it adds another dimension to out of home because you can pick a general heuristic that audio visual is usually better than just dynamic visual, better than static visual, better than just sound, right? So what was once static is now like a giant television screen. So I think it adds a dimension that makes it more exciting and challenges marketeers to come up with creatives that are more designed for purpose and make it work hard. So yeah.
So do you want to add from there? What's your point of view?
Am I audible? Yeah. So I agree to what he said. But the problem is it's when we think about outdoor and we don't specifically think, oh, we have to invest specifically on DOH, okay? The investment goes like it's an outdoor plan and therefore what is the right media, what is the right metric and all that. But from the presentation we just saw before, it was very thought-provoking, and the points what he made, that made me realize that when we actually think about DOH, it's not only the digital part of it, but it is also the impact part of it, okay, which somehow is missing when we are planning. So therefore, to answer your question, there is no specific thought given to digital. It's just part of the regular outdoor media plan, but we should definitely give specific attention to digital outdoor media.
Sir, Mr. Tandon, so I need to ask you this question because you have across India, I don't know the numbers, but the petrol pumps where all other, all static media is converting into digital out of home. So what was the reason behind it? Will you make it open for the brands to come in and display there? And how you are looking at it, digital out of home?
Yeah. Thanks, Nabendu, and very good afternoon or good evening to all of you. Thanks for having me here. So I belong or represent a commodity industry, which certainly does not buy fuel sitting at home. So they have to necessarily come to our fuel pumps or retail outlets. And looking at the number of footfalls, what we have at our retail stations, and I'm talking on the industry basis and not on a company basis, we have 100 million footfalls which happen at retail outlets on every day, okay? And there are peak hours where, the customer spends on an average 2 to 3 minutes time of his by fueling at our stations. So this gives us a very important lever to not only talk about our brand. See, whosoever is coming to our outlet is already patronizing our brand. So how do we move him from just patronizing what he is buying to something more than what we are actually wanting to offer or to fulfill his requirement? So we are in the process of converting our static hoardings to digital hoardings, and hoardings with the content which will be largely driven by with a DOH intention, and have it played very specifically to meet the audience. We have a demography which comes at different points in time: office goers, school children, parents, housewives. So we have a different profile of customers, and accordingly we are setting our target audiences and customizing our offerings. So I think this is a very important platform for us, and that's why we are investing heavily. And we are definitely, when you are having a programmatic DOH scheme, you're going to offer it to multiple players because there is a cost involved, there is a return which has to be there, and players will have to be a part of that.
So media owners, this is an opportunity for you. So now Ashish, what is the role it plays, BFSI as a category in the digital out of home space? Specifically digital out of home, please try and address as against OH.
No, thanks, Nabendu. I think digital OH definitely has become a part of the mix for us, for all brand-related campaigns that we do as well. And if I were to draw parallels, I think the way traditional media used to build brands over a period of time, digital has started playing a larger role in this. So if you see the social media ecosystem, the digital space is a critical part of anything that we do to build a brand, right? And like Ashish rightly pointed out, no, not looking at it as a funnel, not looking at it as metrics along the chain, but collectively what kind of media mix can lead to the best impact for your brand. And given the nature, and I think Ashwath talked about it, that it is from static move to audiovisual medium, it definitely is a key part of the mix. In fact, if you look at the way our branches are evolving, you see most of the signages now are shifting from a glow sign board to digital screen, digital signages, right? Announcing that here the bank is here. We have now digital screens being put up in our branches. And what it allows us to do is based on the audience that will be the business banking products versus another branch which happens to be in a corporate setup, you will see a lot of communication which relates to salaried accounts, salaried products, right? So even internally in our own ecosystem, it's playing a big role. And even when we are looking at building brands, I think it's got a fair role to play. But I think a lot more can be done in this space, a lot more.
Okay. So thank you. Now, Ashwath, your brand is something which is, it does it serves a different purpose in the morning, it serves a different purpose in the evening. So internationally, the biggest benefit of DOH is it serves as a morning to evening, hourly basis, contextual advertising. So you have a product which is Instamart, as well as you have a product rather than so therefore my question is that how you are looking at have you used this dynamic function of digital one effectively for your brands, because your brands needs the most, I guess.
Got it. Let me answer that in two parts. So have we used it? Yes. Once during the World Cup last year, the team did an interesting innovation with digital outdoor where live events that were happening at the World Cup were combined with snacking habits and stuff that people were ordering. So if Virat scored a 50, you just say, hey, great time to celebrate it, order a Coke, get it in 10 minutes. If somebody scored a milestone of 1,000 runs, so that I think is a great way to use this dynamic medium for stuff that you can do live, right? You can't do it with static. So I think that's a great example. On the second bit, I actually feel differently. I don't think people overemphasize context. If I need breakfast, I'm not sitting on the road driving past a hoarding. So it's unlikely that message is going to make me go home and order breakfast or vice versa for lunch or dinner. I think if we use the medium for delivering a distinctive brand message that keeps you top of mind, then that works irrespective of when the occasion arises. So I wouldn't want to overuse context, except maybe in cases where the message is genuinely very, very topical. Let's say if it's monsoon and you have your category that's about monsoon, or like I did this in HUL many years ago. We found that outdoor in an ice cream plan actually drives impulse in the nearest counter. So yeah, makes a lot of sense. So that kind of stuff, I guess it does make sense.
That's very good. So what about the BFSI category? Because the morning, the emotion is very different, very serious. So do you think DOH can be used morning, evening differently?
So morning, evening, whatever time, BFSI wants money. Okay. and for
everyone
that,
is looking for money. Everybody who is sitting
either
here.
it be form of savings account or home loan or any form of SIP, currently whatever campaign we did. So see, from BFSI perspective, dynamic context is not that relevant in my point of view. But what's more interesting is digital is actually an engagement medium. It provides an engagement to audience. And there are some studies which is talking about neuroscience, which says that if you amplify digital media on social media, it actually doubles the effect. Okay, and that kind of work actually helps BFSI because we are restricted from money point of view. We are not huge spenders, but at the same time, when we combine the power of two media and use it effectively, That's where the role of digital OH would change, and it actually helps social media also to play a different role. So when physically people can't go and see that media, they can understand that brand is taking effort by doing this kind of creative on digital media, and they actually share that kind of creative. And there are so many global studies which is talking about that, how digital media on social media actually, effectively positively affect the brands. And I think that is the most important part for BFSI as a sector, I would believe.
So this is very true because social media uh, and DOH together improves the brand, actions or consumer actions 52% as per a study at US which was run. The next question is programmatic. So there is a lot of talk on programmatic and programmatic for digital media versus digital out of home. How do you look at it, Ashish? Programmatic.
Uh, like I was saying earlier, I think programmatic makes a whole lot of sense because I can target a very specific cohort, okay, with a specific message. And when it comes to, uh, you know, uh, going down the funnel, and I know she should have a different point of view, but if I have addressed a very large group of customers to create an impact on the brand, and now I know that within this, and which is what we do, right? We sort of bombard the masses with ATL like television, but now I know that within that set there is this very specific cohort who will become the most profitable customers for me, right? DEOOH gives me an opportunity to target these very specific cohorts, and hence make my entire campaign far more effective than looking at only one medium in isolation.
Sir, counter question. This morning, WO President has actually spoken.
Sorry?
Counter question that WO President spoken this morning, and he mentioned that world over, except for US and China, overall average of programmatic usage of the OH is only 4%. Yeah. So in absence of programmatic, how do you look at DOH as a medium in your brand funnel?
So even in the absence of programmatic, maybe the targeting may not be so specific, but given the nature that it is not a static medium and a dynamic medium, it still allows me to deliver content in a much richer format. But I agree with Ashish and it's stuck in my mind that yes, you have to create content which is suitable for the medium,
Yep.
right? And we have seen a lot of examples of this in social media. Uh, Mainline agencies, classic traditional marketing people tend to think large format media, right? But when it comes to social media, more often than not, it has been people who understand the medium very well, take a good brand brief, and then create content or translate that brand brief into content which works very well in the social media space. I think it is incumbent upon this industry to ensure that they create this talent pool, this creative talent pool, which understands the nature of not only DOH but all the interesting, innovative formats that are coming, which is the anamorphic, right? Or which is even about, let's talk about 25 digital holdings, one after the other in a sequence, right? Many different formats are coming up. Now, people who understand this format can take a good brand brief and make creative, which sort of works well on this medium, is what will lead to enhanced usage. The percentages will definitely go up if we see that kind of content coming in.
Rahul, what's your view on programmatic as a mix
No.
of all media?
So in my previous answer, I briefly touched on it. But very important for us to understand is what is the objective function you want to meet? Is it to create more visibility? Is it to improve your brand positioning? Or is it a call for action for a business? So accordingly, your content has to be made, and that content has to be played at the right location and for the right audience. And in a similar cohort as he was talking, and again looking at our industry, I mean, we just fuel. We fuel the vehicles which come in, but that is an activity which is physically happening at the fuel station. But during that duration, we can push the customer to through a very well-designed program for different timings of the day to opt for credit cards, opt for how they can do their LPG cylinder bookings, convey a safety message through content which is compelling enough for him that it registers as a kind of a storyline which he would want to go back and apply at home. So all these things, put together in a format which typically we can use under digital out of home medium, programmed well and bucketed well for the target audience. I think that will make a lot of sense. And if it is a business call, then it has to serve the business call.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
As per
I
the
have a slightly different view here. I mean, not a view, actually, it's a concern. I think digital OH as a media itself, we advertisers or brand owners, we are still learning. We want to understand that media in a better way. Okay?
Great.
There are creative ways to understand. There are media ways to understand. There are measurement ways which we are still trying to understand. There are tracking ways we are still trying to understand. So a lot of gaps in understanding. It's a beautiful media available. It's impactful, but we are still not closer to it. Okay, globally there are a lot of brands who are using it. They're spending money and they've cracked that media. Okay, but India, I think we are still lagging behind. And programmatic, I think it's still a long shot. There are advertisers, I think they are doing it, but I think the first part for me, or whenever a brief comes, internally every marketeer is excited and they actually tell me, "Mere ko yahan pe ad chahiye." Okay, so this is, and that ad is basically they're talking about digital media. Okay, but what's not happening, and again that's Ashish when he presented, what's happening right now? It's a outdoor. Unfortunately, is an afterthought. Okay, it's not. We are not thinking about creative and we are not aligning it with outdoor. That's the biggest problem, and that's what is happening to digital media. And therefore, all creatives are looking same. There is some dynamic creative happening on all digital hoarding, but the power of media is actually different. And therefore, I think before understanding the programmatic, I think let's take a step back and understand what's the power of digital media.
I think we are in nascent stage. It's very, very clear from Pramod's explanation. What do you think? Are you using programmatic in your media planning, and whether digital or out of home features?
We don't as of now, I think for similar reasons. And the other thing I'd say is, look, the unique feature about out of home medium, it's the only medium that doesn't interrupt content, right? Think of every other medium. It's TV, radio, print, digital. Advertising comes in the way of content for viewers, right? This is the one place where technically it's entertainment when I'm driving by, when I'm walking in a station, anywhere else. And that's the beauty of it. Now, suddenly when you make it programmatic and you're sharing the same space with 5 other brands, you're fighting for attention again. So, well, that's great for monetization, but then brands then have to work a bit harder to fight the same clutter that they were trying to get away from. So I think it's an interesting challenge, but I think that's the reason, the pros and cons to programmatic or not.
I think this programmatic would have been bought by some BFSI category only.
So taking on from Ashwath's point, so what do you prefer, Ashish? Always on or ad impressions, which is, in loop 6 display will be on, or always on is your static media or analog media?
So there's really no straight answer to that, frankly, and you have to look at it based on the objective that you set for a particular campaign or a task that you have in hand, right? And I'm sure in certain situations I will want this constant reminder, static, no one else, no clutter to fight for. And in certain circumstances, I will want to attract a very specific audience to take some specific actions. I will then go the other way. So it clearly, really depends on what is the objective that I've set myself for the particular campaign.
What's your view?
Since there is no KPI to measure whether impressions will help or otherwise.
But sir, you are converting all your static media into digital media.
Yeah, we are playing a long shot. Okay, as is being spoken, I really don't understand the language, to be very honest with you. What we know is that there is 100 million customer footfall, which has 2 to 2.5 minutes of attention time available with us. Okay, and what is it that we can do in that 2.5 minutes to trigger either an impression or an action is what we are looking at. Uh, when it comes to, as I told, when he's already at our outlet, he's patronizing my brand. So I don't need him for anything else because fuel is already taken care. So when we are diversifying into non-fuel businesses, that's where I want to draw his attention to. And obviously, all this will come at a cost because the content is something which is most important. And if that kind of content has to be prepared, you are going to incur cost. And if you don't share it and we share the space with other brands, you'll end up with a very high capex, and ROI will not support. And after all, we are a Sarkari company using exchequer's money, so we have to be very careful in our spends.
Thank you so much. What's your view? Always on versus impression, ad impression?
Neither. Okay. When we typically plan, and I don't have a view right now. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, because who doesn't want always on? Okay, but what happens is you are restricted by your wallet size. Okay, but impression is another different way to track the visibility. But is it right, wrong? I don't know, because it's one agency versus another agency who's giving me the metric. So I can't actually question the impressions. Okay, so I don't know whether impression should also be the right metric. As long as soon as you have a third party which is giving you the data, and then you can talk about that metric. But right now, therefore, I have a stand that it's neither. But at the same time, internally in Kotak, I can tell you that we see a lot of data points. Impression is one of that. Reach is also another factor. We also see the cost factor, like cost per thousand and other parameters. But I think the last decision point is demand and supply.
Okay.
That's where everything comes in.
After your campaign, what is the ROI you have received? So correct, finally, it's boiled down to ROI.
And ROI, so outdoor pe there is nothing from ROI perspective.
No, as Ashish said, when you do omni-channel advertisement, then you get your number. So that's the number you are actually talking about.
And internally, how many people actually created the buzz? That's a real metric.
Ashwath, what's your point of view on this?
I don't think that's the right question, frankly. I think it's the question of what's the objective. All brands have to build salience, right? That's ultimately what's going to lead to down the funnel or conversion, etc. So if the long-term job is salience, and I think then a static always on tends to do that. But if your objective is, hey, I want to do something newsy, innovative for a short burst, then maybe a few impressions, and that approach short-term is better. But yeah, I think it depends on the objective.
So now there are, internationally, if you look at it, there are a lot of this full motion video, anamorphic content, the creative, I'm coming back to Ashish again, to you. It's being done, and basically not for the interest of how much ROI it will drive, but it is just for the action immediately after you see it, it will trigger. So what's your view on anamorphic content? Have you used full motion video?
So, like I said earlier, I know the thought or the thing behind it is how well am I using the medium, right? The first time anamorphic happened, the first time projection on the Gateway of India happened, right? The first time some augmented reality stuff happened, it got a lot of virality. People sort of spread it, and people were talking about earned media that we can get out of good outdoor creatives, right? But once time lapses and people have got used to this medium, then using it for the sake of using it, or saying because there's an anamorphic site here, I'll use it, in a prominent location, will not fly. And unless your content is geared to the medium you're using, if it makes sense, is where it will start working for you, right? So I can understand a flight taking off and coming out on an anamorphic display, and it looks fantastic. It syncs with that, right? Or if there's a message which is in sync, which uses this medium well, it's great. But a chocolate running from one screen to the other, I really don't know how it makes sense or best use of that medium. So I think all of us as marketeers, as providers of these facilities towards the other side need to understand what are the strengths of this medium, how can they match with the messaging of the brand that you want to deliver, and only then it will make sense for us to use it in a bigger way.
So just a point of view, as per Kantar study, it states that your creative, basically, action, your buys or search, okay, and that is about 47%.
Yeah, definitely.
So if that is the point, therefore, whether the full motion video or 3D animated.
If used well, it's just because it's full motion and create a full motion video,
No,
but
no,
it
no,
is out of
obviously,
context, it
obviously,
doesn't
it has
work
to
for
be
me, right? And
contextual.
I think
Yeah.
Ashish showed some brilliant examples of even in the static space, creatives which are made very well, will also get talked about in social media,
Yeah.
right? But they have to be made well.
Okay. So Rahul, what's your point of view on this?
Again, it depends on the objective. The content has to be relevant. The storyline, what you want to share with the right audience, is very important, because this is anything which is to do with anamorphic screens. It has to be larger than life kind of displays and all, and playing it over and over again for a longer period, I don't know whether it will really hold any relevance unless you have that ability to change the content at a quick frequency, which
DOH
yeah.
has that possibility.
Yes.
That's dynamic in nature.
Yes.
It has that possibility
Yes.
because you have your all petrol pumps all around, and just imagine that
Yeah, but,
real-time messaging
Yeah,
becomes
but
very, very.
we also have to make sure, because these petrol pumps are located some of them are on important arterial roads. It should not become a disturbance or a clutter to the passengers who are on the road and not in the petrol pump. So
But sir, internationally, Times Square is on main road.
yeah, it is on main road, but which billboard do you remember right now?
I agree.
Yeah.
So what's your view on full motion video and anamorphic content?
So rather than giving answer to that, because there is no, and everyone said that, and I agree to that, that depends on objective. But at the same time, what I would like to say is, see, technology is an opportunity, definitely, but it's also a threat. Okay, I will draw an analogy, and maybe not a right analogy, but see, few years back when HDTV launched, okay, every channel launched their new HD channel, okay, and everyone thought that now SD is going to replace, there would be only HD channels and everything. Now what's happening in media world, if you see, and people who were behind GRPs, they would go behind SD channels. People who were premium conscious and all that, they would say for HD channels. What happened over the years, now OTT has taken over HDT. Okay, people who used to invest on OTT HD channels, they are now investing on OTT. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell, what I'm trying to say is, basically one technology has replaced another technology. Right now, what we are talking about, technology, creative display of technology. Okay, that's not important. The important question is, how do I use outdoor? Okay,
Yep.
The question, there is no war between digital versus static. According to me, there is war within outdoor, that how outdoor media actually talks it for itself, and therefore come out and help out advertisers also. See, we also want to communicate to the consumers, okay? And consumers seek outdoor as an, like he rightly said, as an entertainment media, okay? And therefore, digital has that great strength to give that kind of entertainment. And for that entertainment, whatever format is right, suitable, possible to do. But where are we lacking right now is, we don't have that kind of understanding. The media owners have that kind of capability when they are getting that international technology here. Help us also to take it to the next level. Be with us, handhold us, and then we'll take it to the next level so that we can also use that technology. That's where I'm.
Ashwath, have you used anywhere full motion video or
We haven't
technology?
yet. No, but I broadly agree with what they said, nothing more to add.
Okay, fantastic. So what's your, the last question, what's your advice or suggestions to the industry leaders who are sitting here, who are investing in digital out of home, and they're looking at, your pie, so some portion of your pie must get into digital out of home. So what's your advice? All of you need to speak. Give your views.
No, like I said, I think it's like any other medium in its nascent stage. You have to educate end users, in this case, manufacturers, brand and marketing teams, on how best you can leverage this medium. Bring in examples from world over on, what are the best creatives. I think train creatives like Facebook and Google did this fantastically in their last decade. They taught everybody about how to run thumb-stopping creatives on Facebook, how to make videos that are YouTube friendly, not TV first. You can't run your TV campaign exactly on YouTube, etc. So I think similar training of creative people will help to be able to use it. Otherwise, they think it's just something coming out, right? Versus how do you use the medium cleverly for your message. So I think that will really help. And obviously, over a long term, costs will come down. The incremental cost per reach as it comes down, then brands and businesses will invest a little bit more there. So I think it'll pretty standard answer to any new medium.
Pramod, what's your point of view?
So
if anything
one
different?
point I've already said, that we are seeking help from the media owners, and of course media agencies are there to help us, but there's large education required from owners as well, and they need to tell us that how do we use effectively, and the creative, in terms of creative, what should we do. The other thing, other point I would like to make is, we are BFS, and every money we count we have a responsibility for that money. So therefore, the tracking and measurement is extremely important. Every forum I have always said that. I understand there is a limitation, but there has to be something which is in return of whatever investment we are doing. And the attention tracking, that's a new word I've learned for digital media. So is there a way digital owners can give us attention tracking? How do I effectively use digital media for engagement? That's one part. And the other part
so Roadstar is doing that study.
Correct.
I'm sure shortly we'll have that with you.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we have already made the investments. We are putting in our monies. Help us leverage the benefits out of it, create success stories, and let India be setting examples, and not just US and China. It's all in your hands. We are there to provide you the physical space. Help us build on it.
Media owners will line up with you because they will be looking at your, your petrol pumps. Sure. Advertisement possibilities. Yeah.
Just to add to what he said, sorry, before you take, when we saw all those examples Ashish shown us, there was only one, I think, study from India. Rest all were global studies. And that's the unfortunate reality. I think all of us, we have to come together and solve for that problem creatively, or I don't know what way, but I think we'll have to solve that.
Sir, there are
next year there should be all examples of...
Sir, there are multiple cases which are already happening in India. I'm sure, not to mention to Ashish, but there are multiple examples. Good ads are being created here only. Okay, all these Google, Facebook guys are all from India. And we will be creating all of it. You don't worry, sir. Okay, yes, Ashish.
So, I think 3 very quick points. One, someone said this in the morning very well. Don't sell sites to us. Sell what the medium can do for us. Second is create a good talent pool of people who understand the medium to develop creatives which go with the medium, right? And I think third thing that Pramod alluded to was that the measurement, because the heavy amount of fragmentation is that has to be a single pipe which sort of enables me to look at the outcomes in a much more structured and constructive way. If that happens, the confidence in the system goes up. I may believe in it, but I have a system to manage. The confidence in the system goes up, the usage or the space or the position that it takes in my media mix goes up.
Sir, measurement is coming up from Roadstar.
Yeah.
Very shortly we'll be visiting you. Okay, thank you very much. It was a great discussion. So time is up. I am on time. And yes, Kisha, your job.
Thank you so much. Now that was interesting. The whole actually, people kept coming back in to listen into more of what you all were sharing. So thank you so much. We've got questions, 3 questions that Mr. Junaid Sheikh from Roshan Space has chosen, and he's going to be sharing with you right now. So can we please have you join us on stage?
So client will be there. So whatever out of 3 questions, whatever questions are there, the brand owners are here only. You can bother them as much as you can till the time they are here.
Oh, I thought Nabendu was just going to get the check straight away again, once again.
I'll start with a good evening. Ooh. Sorry, it's actually do. It's OH and DOH. So I've got very difficult to. I've got like a total of 58 questions. Are you ready? We'll go.
You need to ask only 3.
I'll stick with 4. One from my side. So the first one is from Rachna. If DOH, one moment, you are Rachna here. So if DOH provides you the right metric, do you think brands will add it to their omni-channel mix and shift digital media budgets to DOH? As in, to simplify it, will brands move their online budgets to DOH if they get the right metrics? Will you give us more money from your digital?
I don't think it's a question of this or that. It's about adding it as a crucial element. So I think even Ashish talked about it. It's not one medium, and it's not looking at it in isolation and seeing whether that works for me, right? A good campaign will have a mix of multiple media channels. So yes, the amount of money I put behind it will go up, but the question is not whether I will take it away from digital or TV and put it.
So you would increase budgets of DOH
quite possibly,
separately?
yeah, because there's an optimal level, right, that you need to invest in each medium, and one can't go below that. So the choice will not be about shifting monies; it will be about adding monies to it.
That's encouraging. Thank you. The second question is, what metrics and data should brands look at to determine the effectiveness of their DOH campaigns? Yeah, everyone.
So we are struggling with that answer, to be very honest. But
that's why I asked.
Yeah. So, but effectively to start with, we look at awareness. Okay. But as I mentioned earlier, I don't look at digital and static as different. For me, they are outdoor media. Okay. Therefore, and for digital, the role of digital outdoor media is to enhance my campaign creatively. But we are looking for that day when we can actually measure the effectiveness of digital media. Right now, we don't have that metric available.
So you're not basically thinking how you can best use DOH as a separate medium?
Best use creatively, yes. But best use from reach, from other media measurement point of view, I don't know.
I guess that's for the media owners to kind of present that. The third question is, have the advertisers started with contextual advertising, which is the basic of programmatic DOH? Because DOH gives you the possibility to contextually advertise and push content.
So
programmatic.
specific to our industry, we are in active discussions with media agencies. But if you ask me, do we have a credible solution to it as yet? I don't think so. We are anywhere near to be creating that kind of content which would, create a call for action. As of now, not as yet. No.
Yeah, I think maybe in a marketer would.
I was just going to say that again, it's up to the industry to educate end users on how you can use it contextually. Yeah. I know, for example, there was in Swiggy's case, we have a feature on the app called Dine Out, where you can avail offers through the app at specific restaurants. And when they ran static, actually outdoor creatives in malls where there are lots of restaurants, they saw impact. So it's easy to do that on digital out of home as well. So maybe just educating us and just helping us see some of those possibilities will get brands to use it contextually.
Sure. That question was from Hemant Patil, Roshan Space, and the one before that was Ritik Raj from Add On More. Can I ask you one last question, please? This is from Fabian. I like this question. Is DOH the new box that allows marketeers to think outside of it, and why? Is DOH the new box? It's a twisted question. Is DOH the new box that allows marketeers to think outside of it? Is outside the box. Is DOH the platform to think for marketeers to think outside the box?
I mean, I think it is, because think of outdoor in the old world is static, two-dimensional. Now you added movement and potentially even a fourth dimension where it with anamorphic, etc. So yes, it is. And if creative folks can therefore leverage that to be able to design for that medium, for that site, I think it can be impactful and powerful. Yes, so we've got to push our right brains far more to make good use of DOH.
That's really encouraging. Thank you. So out of 4 questions, which one do you think should get the recognition?
The fourth one.
The last one? So there you go, Fabian.
Congratulations.
He's not from Idea Cafe.
Let's have the check being brought up on the stage. Can you please join us center stage as well? Mr. Junaid Sheikh, can you join our panelists? We've got the check. Powered by MSMA is the Q&A session. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up. Put your hands together. Congratulations. And we've got a memento for our panelists. Doing us the honors, Mr. Junaid Sheikh. We'd like to thank our moderator. Can we please have a memento for our moderator, Mr. Nabendu Bhattacharyya. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in thanking our moderator. We can hear the applause. Come on, much louder. We'd like to thank each one of our panelists, Mr. Rahul Tandon, Mr. Ashwath Swaminathan, Mr. Ashish Morone, and Mr. Pramod Patil. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for each one of our panelists. A group photograph, if we may. Let's capture this special moment right now. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 18th edition of OAC.